Yes, welcome, 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 my friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you, as always, by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge. Smoke Camels for 30 days and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. And remember, that first cigarette is probably going to leave you sick. That's perfectly normal. You have to attenuate yourself to the nicotine. It's a very powerful drug, which anyone who's ever smoked a pack a day can tell you. Uh, yes, it's difficult to quit, but why would you want to? Um, I should note that I never had a problem quitting. I was religious, and every Friday night you stop smoking because it's forbidden to smoke on the Sabbath. So from Friday night to Saturday night, no matter how heavy a smoker you were, you had to stop smoking for that 24-hour period. And then on Saturday night after Havdalah, you would light up again. And that first cigarette was horrible, but never mind. After that, everything was just fine. Um, but I also ended up stopping for a couple of weeks, months. There was a long period in my life when I never bought any cigarettes. So the only cigarettes I smoked were those that I bummed off of other people, and that was very intermittent. But here's the point. Down the hall, Clarence had an office in which he had a huge ashtray with a giant mound of butts because he never emptied it. So it's thousands of butts in there. And I would go to his office and I'd say, Clarence, can I bum a cigarette? And he'd say, sure. And I'd sit down. He'd pull out two. He smoked Kents. But if you're bumming cigarettes, you just have to smoke any kind of shit. So, but we'd sit there and we'd smoke. And so I got to know Clarence quite well. Whereas Paul, who didn't smoke, I never got to know him at all. He was a colleague and we worked together, but I knew nothing about him. Clarence, he and I spent many a cigarette uh, break together, chatting about our lives. Um, my friends, I have seen the decline of my civilization going hand in hand with the rejection of tobacco. Uh, and I have a dream of one day of Americans embracing their love of tobacco and America once again becoming a great superpower. So, if not for yourself, take the Camels Challenge for your country. Smoke camels for 30 days and see for yourself what difference camels can make to America. Well, my friends, it's been another week of very bad news. Uh, the New Yorker arrived yesterday with an article about a course at the University of Chicago. There's a new course at the University of Chicago. Are we doomed? The answer, of course, is absolutely. Human free will no longer exists, at least in the sense that our species has the ability to alter our rendezvous with destiny. So it's the University of Chicago, and they get the best lectures, of course. And so the course started off with Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, who quit Google over concerns that the company was putting profits ahead of existential threats. So he says to these students in their 20s, I timed my life perfectly. I was born after World War II. I was a teenager before there was AIDS. And now I'm going to die before the end. The article ended with a student's comment. It's a weird feeling to be certain that the world will end and that not be certain about the specific hour or day when it will happen. So you think, I might as well dedicate my life to something. I realized that we were doomed in 2012 after reading Naomi Oreskes' The Collapse of Western Civilization and Elizabeth Kobal's The Sixth Extinction. So I've had time to think about this. And what was I going to do? Stop teaching at the time? No, you carry on with your life as best you can. You try. In fact, you just rededicate yourself, reinvigorate yourself to make sure that you're squeezing the most out of it because this is the end. Many of you might have been wondering why I even do the show. I don't have very many viewers, and I often wonder what people are getting from the show. It's not all that insightful. It gets a bit depressing, reviewing the week's bad news. The premise of the show is simple. We are spiraling ever faster on a toboggan slide to extinction. Our civilization is collapsing. Our rationality, our ability to think rationally is collapsing. Reason has been trumped. Furthermore, our planet is now undergoing changes that we cannot alter. But beyond that, it is clear that governments are incapable of rising to the challenge. Israel began its life as a socialist country with a labor government and has been moving to the right ever since. Decade after decade, the left lost votes until in the 1970s, Menachem Begin was elected, and Israel's center of politics moved significantly to the right. But in America, Reagan was elected president. In England, Thatcher was the head. Well, we've been moving right. It's not just that one country's been moving right. Globally, we have seen the move to the right. France, Italy, Germany, England, the Scandinavian countries, they have all been moving to the right for decades. We have Trump, and India has Modi, Israel has Netanyahu, Russia has Putin, and China has Xi. Billionaires are consolidating their power, and authoritarian regimes predominate. So it's really hard to avoid the recognition that we're living in extremely depressing times. And believe me, the Jews that I know, anxiety and depression is everywhere. It's hard when you discover that you're not where it's really at, and pretty much everyone hates you. So I wonder from week to week what it is that I'm doing. What if I had no one watching these videos? Would it matter? I have dozens of videos out there that no one actually watches. No, it doesn't bother me. If they disappeared, it wouldn't bother me. I had a whole website that was taken down, and it didn't bother me. No one needs to watch them, and if they disappear, that's fine with me. I have videos that I call my basement tapes, which are on my hard drive in my basement, and I have no intention of ever releasing them anywhere. My whole archive is that way. Thousands of 70 file drawers, 15,000 volumes. It's all in boxes and boxes of stuff, and it's all going to end with me. I'm just, it's going to be garbage. And I don't worry about that any longer. I used to worry about my archive. It was something that that I had to, just expend energy to try to find out somehow how I could save. Like my friend Aviva is worried about her cat. And it's it's a legitimate worry. You have a cat. You want to make sure that if you die, that somebody's going to come and take your cat. So I used to worry somebody should come and take my archives. I don't worry about that because now I know that Shakespeare's archives and Einstein's archive, nobody's going to be saved. It's all going to be gone. So why continue to make the show? What is the point? Well, it's a good question, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I continue to make the show just as I continue to breathe and read and write. The show is an expression of my existence. So my nightmare is that things will get better and better, and I'll be having this shown more bad news, and it'll just be, But then, of course, then I wake up and I realize, it's time for another show. Okay, my friends, that'll have to do it for this week. Stay safe, keep your head down, and try to squeeze as much happiness as you can out of life. And I'll be back next week with more bad news.